Okay, this is going to be a quick little video about how to use every item active on Vladimir. And just to preface this video, I'm playing on patch 8.10, so some of these items might get nerfed in the future. I know that on the PvE, they're looking at nerfing Shirelia's Reverie as well as Banner of Command, and both of those are items that Vladimir can use, especially Shirelia's Reverie is built almost every single game on Vladimir right now. So for right now in patch 8.10, I'm going to talk about items in terms of, in the order of the most viable items to the least viable items. So we're going to talk about everything Vladimir would ever consider using, even if it seems kind of troll at first, okay? Okay, so starting off with the number one item right here is Shirelia's. Now, Shirelia's, what you can use this for is Empowered Q Poke. One of the first things that people use it for is they'll use Shirelia's to get in range to use their Empowered Q. That's really useful. The other thing they'll use it to do is engage, which is similar, but for like full combo or something, to engage like this will be very useful. Or disengaging. If you're getting ganked by the enemy jungler and they're trying to get onto you, right, you can just use Shirelia's, try and run away to escape ganks or something, or to try and exit a team fight. The last main thing that Shirelia's can be used for is just to get back to lane faster. If you recall, get Shirelia's, you can just use Shirelia's for a little ghost, get back to lane. That'll help save you some golden experience. As the minions are getting back to tower, you'll lose less minion gold and minion experience, and that really adds up. So if you can just use the Shirelia's like that to get back to lane really fast without much cost, because it's really short cooldown, just go ahead and do that. Next item is Proto Belt, and similar to Shirelia's, you can use this for the Empowered Q Poke to get into range. Proto Belt and Empowered Q. You can also use it for wave clear. If these are all your minions right here, the enemy minions, you can use the Proto Belt to wave clear the wave. It'll normally nuke all of the melee minions and leave the casters really low, so you can just one-shot the wave with your Proto Belt and your E. Another thing is burst. So if you're going in for the full combo and you want to do the combo, you can throw in the Proto Belt at the end while you're in pool, pool Proto Belt. Or you can use it as an engage for your combo. So you Proto Belt at the beginning and you're going for your combo. Of course, you can also do the normal E flash combo and add Proto Belt in there too. Zhonya's. Okay, the next item is going to be Zhonya's. There are three main uses for Zhonya's. Either you use it to dodge a key ability, so imagine the Zed is ulting on you and you just dodge it so that you Zhonya's it so you don't get the death mark. Or maybe you already burned your pool and Twisted Fate's going to throw his gold card at you. You use the Zhonya's to dodge it. Other abilities like this are Fizz ultimate, Karthus ultimate. You can dodge all of those things. They're very telegraphed. Or if you just want to buy more time to get your cooldowns back, right? If you have your E and your pool and your Q on cooldown, you can use Zhonya's to get 2.5 seconds, more time. And then the last thing is to extend the combo to try and get your healing back. Right? So I was completely untargetable after I pooled. And it gives me more time to get that healing back. A lot of times when you're going in, you're trying to like flash in or engage in on like 4 people or something, you really need to stay untargetable longer in order to survive, and get that healing back can make the difference in a lot of team fights. Okay, so that's it for Zhonya's. As a little added note, it can be used to break the tower aggro. If you're tower diving with somebody else, your pool can do this too, right? And it'll switch to someone else. Or if, so for instance like this. So it'll switch to this guy now. And now I don't have to tank the tower. So that's a pretty useful thing to know about. Your pool does the same thing. Okay, so Spellbinder. Spellbinder is useful little item. It just gives a lot of really good base stats, but the active is kind of useful too. Okay, so some things to note about Spellbinder is that you cannot... Spellbinder lasts 4 seconds and your ultimate lasts 4 seconds. So you can't use Spellbinder and then your ultimate. It will not empower, or at least it will not empower your ultimate's damage and healing if you use Spellbinder and then ultimate. But if you use ultimate and then Spellbinder, it'll empower your healing. If you see, it's doing 220, and without the Spellbinder, or it'll do less, right? One thing to note is that you can actually use your Spellbinder while you're channeling your E, and it will not break your E. So you can always throw that in there. You can always throw that in there while you're channeling your E, and it will not interrupt it at all. And the other thing you can use it for is to gap close, right? If you get this thing stacked up, it'll give you movement speed. You can try and use it as a Shurelya's to get into range, right? Similar to Shurelya's. All right, now we're going to go back and get some of the other item actives. Namely, these are more fringe. These aren't really... You don't see them a lot, but technically they can be built. Vladimir can use the stats. They're not awful. Okay. Hextech GLP. And Twin Shadows.
My cup is half empty.
Okay. So again, we're talking to these from best to worst. And right now, Banner of Command is a really amazing item. Things to note about Banner of Command is that you should only use these things on cannon minions. Cannon minions are so strong right now. You only want to use your banner and power on cannon minions. Things to know about cannon minions is that they spawn every 3 waves. And then really late in the game, something like 35 minutes plus, they spawn every wave. But you'll know when the cannons are coming up because they go every 3 waves. So after you see a cannon, you know 3 waves later another cannon will come up.
I've got you.
And the way you use the Banner of Command is it's useful for pushing waves. Just pushing your tower, right? Often you first item Banner of Command against like a mage if you're planning on doing it so that you can try and break this mid tower here. So you can use it to push tower, and then in the mid game or something you can stick it in the side lanes down here and use it to push these outer towers just so that you can push a lane without actually being there. Those are the uses for the Banner of Command active. Now the Hextech Twin Shadows active. Twin Shadows can be used to engage, right? You throw it out, you can now gap close on the enemy while they're slowed. That can be pretty useful sometimes. Often it just ends up being like a poor man's Shurelya's. You can use it to disengage. Again, it's just weaker than Shurelya's in this regard, but you can use it for the slow and run away. You can catch players through the enemy team. So let's see, you see the junglers fighting out here in the river, and you know that your support, your bot lane has pushed so they can come and help fight. You can, you know, use these ghosts to try and scout out or to slow the person down because they go very far. And that's actually one of the most useful things about this item is that you can help people out from a long range away by setting them up with a slow. As well as you can deny golden experience to the enemy laner as they're walking back to lane. If you know that the enemy's back timing, you know they recalled and you're still here or something. If you know generally when they're right here, you can pop the Twin Shadows and then Ghost will go find them right here and tag them there. And now they'll lose a lot more minions in gold as you push the tower because they'll be slowed. More minions will die, they'll lose more experience in gold, and that can get you a lead. Okay, Hextech GLP. This is generally going to be kind of a poor man's Proto Belt. Proto Belt seems a lot more fluid to use, as well as it gives you a little bit of a gap close. So Hextech GLP, you can engage with the slow to try and get in there and do some damage. Or you can combo with it in pool, right? Similar to the Proto Belt. where you use your combo like that. It does a lot of the same things as Proto Belt. It's just it doesn't give you the little jump and it does less damage, but it has a slow. So that slow might make it worth using. Plus, it gives 20% cooldown reduction, which is something that's nice. As well as burst. Again, this is lower damage than Proto Belt, but it is some damage, and that will get you some kills sometime. Gunblade is going to be used a lot like Proto Belt, except it doesn't have the ability to wave clear. GLP also has kind of a somewhat ability to wave clear, but it's really, really crappy wave clear. Gunblade, you can just use it to engage. It's 100 range longer than any of your abilities on Vlad, except your ultimate is kind of long range. So you can use this to try and engage, you know, with the active, or you can use it to try and disengage if you're trying to run away, and you can slow them. But generally, this item's not the best, but technically you can build it. It gives you a lot of sustain. It's not that bad. And then as a final little added thing, how to use the trinkets, because these are item actives too. So when you push lane, let's say I push them to tower, generally want to get a ward like right here. Seeing the enemy raptors, this is really powerful. And if you can even get it a little further, this will show you when the jungler, for instance, when he leaves this bush, whether he goes this way or whether he goes here. It's very, very useful ward. The other wards you can get are against something like an Aurelion Soul. You can ward somewhere like this, or even pink ward somewhere like this to see roams. You generally don't want to get these wards in the side bush because they don't give you as much information. They only show you this area. If you see, they'll only show you this area, which doesn't even give you vision of this ramp. So if the jungler goes down through here and gets scuttled, you don't know that. So it's always better to get these wards over here or a ward over here where you have a lot more vision, because generally if he just walks through here to this bush, you'll know he's in there too. So you want to get deeper vision if you can with these trinket wards. Now with the scanner, what you want to be doing is it's kind of the opposite of this, where you can use the scanner to remove this kind of vision that the enemy laners have put or the junglers have put, or you can use the scanner in the bush to try and make sure nobody can see you, so you can bush cheese somebody. The other useful thing for the trinket is, let's say there's a champion, there's a champion in here, and they use this bush to try and bush juke you. You can throw the trinket in there, so you can use your targeted abilities on them. And that's all the item actives in the game that Vladimir would consider using right now, except some like really, really fringe things, like maybe a Randuin's Omen has some uses in certain games. So best of luck, guys.